Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Boozer. I'm with CUGC HQ, and I am happy to welcome you to today's user share. We're going to be looking at Citrix XenMobile POC made easy. So I think that if some of you are trying to set something like that up, we have a lot of tips and tricks for you today. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our moderator. Samuel Legrand is the leader of the France CUGC group, and he is a CTP, and he's been on several webinars with us in the past. So welcome back, Samuel. Would you like to say hello?
Hello from Paris, where it's raining. Bad weather today.
Uh-oh. Well, Samuel will be keeping an eye on all of your questions. So during the presentation, please remember to type those into the question panel of the GoToWebinar control panel over to your right. He will keep an eye on those. If they are appropriate to ask in the moment, he will do so. Otherwise, some of them he may save to the end. But don't be shy. Please ask all your questions. All right, presenting for us today is Arnaud. He is the Tampa CUGC leader, and I probably mispronounced your last name, Arnaud. My high school French is slipping away quickly, but I'd love to turn things over to you to get us started. I'm going to send you the screen right now. So here you go.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So today the presentation, as Stephanie told, will be on the XenMobile Service POC. So I will try to explain you how to have a successful and how to make it easy as possible. So as you can probably hear, I'm French as well, like Samuel, but I'm living in US. I moved in Tampa, Florida 2 years ago. In fact, I am an independent consultant. I'm working on Citrix for 18 years, and I am also engaged with Citrix Consulting as a contractor in US and EMEA to help them with some consulting projects. And finally, I am the proud father of 4 daughters. So if you want to follow me, this is my Twitter account, as well as I got a blog, which is right on there. And if you want, just ask in the question box, and I can provide you as well an email address if you have got some question or whatever you need to ask me by email. So today the agenda will be this one. So proof of concept. What exactly is a proof of concept? The XenMobile services, the reference architecture, scope of work, the prerequisite, the installation phase, the configuration steps, some tests, case success for a successful POC. And if you have a question, I will try to answer all the questions you should have. So what is a proof of concept? So I will not read what is written. I will let you read that. The main thing to remember about that is that the proof of concept is usually delivered for free, as it can help you to work with new customer or improve your relationship with your current one. However, it's not because it's free that you should not take care of what you will do. So you need to remember that point as well. So the objective of a proof of concept is to introduce Citrix product in new customer or current one, and to validate the technologies. It will help as well you to validate the technology and help the customer to make a decision to go or not go with the tested product. So the benefits, so it will offer low risk exposure for consulting engagement, demonstrate tangible benefit in short amount of time, and allow testing of a customized solution specific to customer environment, because a proof of concept, even if it's a proof of concept, I mean, it's not a general things. You need to take care of your customer environment, and you can as well identify future opportunities. So here you will need as well to remember and to keep in mind that a proof of concept should not impact customers' environment. It should not be intrusive. The less modification you will make, the less risk you will have with your customer. So the scope. So it will help you to validate the success criteria identified by the customer. Even for proof of concept, it's always recommended to use a scope of work. In fact, it will define your engagement with your customer on a specific project. You will need to follow as well the scope. Never try to go out of the scope, even if it's to help your customer. It can be really dangerous. You need to keep in mind that customer will always remember issues, but probably not the success. Also, you will need to be prepared. It's always interesting to train yourself a lot on the technologies before going on site. It will help you achieve the goals of the scope. And deliverables. So the deliverables, I mean, it's not mandatory. It's always appreciated. You can do or not some documentation, some deliverables for your customer. The fact is that I will suggest you not to spend too much time on this. The main thing, if it's a free POC, so it's on your own time. And even if it's if you can have your customer engage with a payment for the POC, documentation can be really time consuming. So I would suggest just to spend no more than 1 day on the documentation part. The XenMobile service. So what is it exactly? So it's a service provided by Citrix Cloud team to your customer. The NetScaler and the XenMobile server are running in the cloud and they are managed by Citrix Cloud team. So you will have connection from the tenants or your customer data center to the cloud with a component which is a Citrix Cloud connector. So all the communication are outbound from the connector to the cloud. There is no inbound connection in your customer environment. So you need to know that each connector is stateless. So the load can be shared across them, and that, in fact, downtime is minimized if you have multiple cloud connector installed. So first of all, when you will want to make a POC, you will need the XenMobile Cloud to be provisioned. So you will need to go on cloud.citrix.com, sign up for an account if you don't already have one, and request for trials. So you will need to wait for Citrix to agree with this trial before you can start to work on it. So here is the typical reference architecture. So on the internal network, you will have the cloud connector as well as an admin workstation. Sorry. You should have or not a NetScaler gateway in the DMZ. So the NetScaler gateway is needed if you want the micro VPN between the device and the internal resources for secure apps. And after, all the other stuff are based in the cloud. So you can see that there is not a lot of connection and firewall rules needed to accomplish that. So the scope of work. Here is a typical scope of work. So the engagement that you could have with your customer. So based on 4 things. So first it's the enrollment. So you will provide enrollment for iOS and Android. Usually I stay with iOS and Android because it's easier and quicker to not have Windows or macOS. I mean, Windows, macOS is not so terrible, but Windows can be a shame if you just if you want to do MDM and MAM configuration. You will configure AutoDiscovery for email-based enrollment. It's always appreciated by the customer that user can enroll the device with email address instead of the FLN of the XMS server. You will have the MDM configuration, so it's basic one. I mean, device by code set to 6 digits with 1 minute of inactivity timer, a software inventory, schedule policy, and some terms and condition policy. Explaining customer that it will enroll on the XenMobile, and the device will be managed with some settings applied. Typically, this is why we stand in terms and condition. For them, the X restriction, so the settings on the apps, you will have secure pin enabled with a 15 minutes inactivity timer, encryption enabled, and we will restrict the outbound and inbound. Outbound will be restricted and not inbound, in fact. And for the apps, so secure web, mail, task, quick edit, and share file. It's always interesting to just keep those secure apps. Why? Because you can retrieve the MDX file from the Citrix website, and you will not waste time to wrap specific application. And as well, if you need to wrap an application because the customer wants to test this specific application, just be careful with the engagement you should have if the POC is not for free, because you can have some issue to wrap application. I saw that in the past, and you can waste a lot of time trying to debug this. So, I mean, as the proof of concept, it's just to demonstrate that it will be accurate for the customer, and how and what the product can provide to the end user. So just with all those apps, it should be quite enough for the customer. So the prerequisite on the customer side are the following. So a NetScaler. So as I told you, it will depend if the customer wants to have a micro VPN or not. An Active Directory, in fact, 1 or 2 servers for the share file storage and controller, 1 or 2 servers for the cloud connector, an administration workstation, 1 or more, a file server, an Exchange server, and an internet website, so web server. On the NetScaler, you will need 2 public IP addresses with 2 public DNS names associated to those public addresses. You will need a certificate for the public DNS name. So it can be a wildcard, a SUN certificate, or named certificate. You will need as well 2 IP on the NetScaler for the VIP and an LDAP service account. So the Active Directory, the domain forest functional level need to be at least 28 R2 level. And for the server, you can have 2012 R2 or 2016 server, Windows Server for ShareFile and Connector, and the server need to be Active Directory domain joined. So for the preparation, so I work on all those prerequisites on my lab just to show you the time which is needed to put that in place if you want to make a lab or whatever on your own. So here are the information. So the total time I spent on my lab, it's 4 hours. I mean, for all the server, I started with a Windows 2016 template on my VMware environment. For the admin workstation, it took me 1 hour because I created it from scratch. And that's it. Here, you need to remember that everything that can be done in advance, just do it. All the prerequisites, I mean the infrastructure, the public IP, public FQDN, the certificate, the NetScaler and the DMZ. If your customer doesn't already have one, you can import a VPX and configure it remotely. I mean, most of things can be done remotely. You don't need to go on site to work on this type of configuration. So the initial setup. So here it's a recorded video I prepared for you. So just to explain you how things are working. So if you never went on the Citrix Cloud portal, so it looks like that. So you need to provide your credentials. And after you will see it's coming this web portal here. So here you got a lot of things. So I got my share file and XenMobile service. So I use trial for the purpose of this video. So by default, it's 90 days trial. So you should have enough time to test with your customer during nearly 3 months. So here you can see I got resource location, domain notifications. So for now, I just got 2 resource location, but you should have on your own 1 resource location. So you will see that after your request for the trial and it has been approved by Citrix, Rapid Deployment Team, RDT. So the email for this trial for the XenMobile Rapid Deployment Team, it's xmrdt@citrix.com. So if you request a trial for your after creating an account, if you don't already have one, and you don't have any information after a few days, you can just send an email to this email address. So the first thing, in fact, you will be requested to provide a region for the cloud platform. So the region, it's not where the XenMobile service instance are located. I will provide you a link about that. It's just geographical considerations. So the process, in fact, it's so you request the trial, a Citrix sales engineer follow up on the trial request by completing a PODIO form. You will have to provide information such as site name, organization name, contact name, email, region. So the region I just spoke about, the request type, if it's for a POC or whatever, and the tunnel options. So if you want to use the Cloud Connector, or as well, you can use IPsec, but Cloud Connector is always the best because it's much more easier to implement. So here for this part, so I will continue. Just to let you know, the initial configuration, it took me about 10 minutes to do that point. So here you will go in the resource location, you will click on the Cloud Connector, you will download the Cloud Connector and install it. So you will need to do that on 1 or 2 servers, it just depends. Here you will see I just did that on 1 server. So after the installation and the refresh of the site, it's not green, it's orange because I got only 1, and it's always recommended to have 2, but it was just for a demonstration. And even if I want to install a second one, it will take just 15 minutes based on my template and the fact that I already have the Cloud Connector downloaded from the website. So you will need to install it. So it can take some time because there is a lot of prerequisites to be installed on the server. So I will go a little bit up, sorry, quickly. So I will test the service connection. After I can close that, we'll go back on the web portal, and you can click on the refresh. So here it is. So as I told you, it's orange because I got only 1 cloud, and it's right on there. To maintain high availability, it's recommended to have more than 1 cloud connector. So after, you can click on Manage XenMobile Services. So typically, I don't know if some of you already work with on-premise XenMobile. It's pretty the same things. So the console is still the same. So you got the initial configuration with the certificate. So I didn't do it when I registered, but the first thing you will need to do is to upload your own APNS. So even if it's on the cloud, you will need to take care on your own for the APNS certificate. Citrix will not do it. So after, you will need to provide the URL. So after, you export the script because it will be used to configure your Netscaler, and just the domain. So you don't have to provide here some credentials. It's done by the Cloud Connector. So this is one of the difference with the on-premise version. And you can provide as well a server, mail server for SMTP notification. And that's it. So the base configuration, initial setup, I mean, it just took me 10 minutes. So it's really quick and easy. So after the MDM configuration, So you will define a device bytecode set to 6 digits. This is why what was in the scope. So it's, I mean, you should know where it's this part. It's in the device policy. I didn't make any video about that because it's pretty simple, quick and easy. And as well as it just took me about 5 minutes to do that. So I don't think, yeah, I made a video, sorry. So you will see the video, it's about 2 minutes 30. So really quick and easy. To do that, so just for the terms and conditions, so you will need a PDF file. The PDF file can be different based on operating system. You can have a PDF file for iOS and a PDF file for Android. So usually when I work on XenMobile, I removed the unnecessary platform. Otherwise, when you click on next, you will need sometimes to provide a name and you will have some error. So here it's just that. So enable by default it's 6 digits. We just not change that. We lock the device after 1 minute. It was set in the scope of work. And we will apply this to all users. And just an interesting thing here, select the only apply if previous failed and not on every connection. Because on every connection, it will make some network traffic flow between the device and the environment. And even if it's in the cloud, so you can imagine that you don't care about it. But as I'm used to do that for on-premise, I did the same on cloud platform. So here it's the scheduling policy. I will go a little bit quickly here. And the last one was the term and condition. So here I create a PDF file. And it's I just select the same PDF file for iOS and Android. And I mean, as I told you, it's less than 5 minutes, even if you consider the time to create the PDF file. So very quick. So the next step, it's the client properties. So we need to enable secure pin with 6 digits, the activity timer, so which is the default one, in fact, so we don't modify anything there. Touch ID enables, so we will work on secure pin and Touch ID. Because encryption as well, it can be enabled for iOS, for Android, because it's by default with iOS, but it's not on the properties. It's in the apps.
Arnaud?
Oui, Sam? Yeah?
Yes,
sorry.
we have a question. So regarding the term and condition policy,
yeah, sure.
Does it track acceptance or is it enforced? If, for example, if the user doesn't want to accept this term and policy, can we track this?
If I'm correct, the user needs to accept the term and condition to be able to enroll his device.
Okay.
If the user,
so it's enforced.
Yeah, I mean it's enforced. The user needs to accept the terms and condition. I can check that. I will take note of that. And
nice. Thank you.
Sorry, I just take note about that. So hereafter, let's go on that. As well, you can see it's less than 1 minute to change the client properties. Really easy and quick. I mean, you can imagine that it's quick because I'm used to do this, but even if it's the first time you change this, it's not very complicated. And that's it. so less than 1 minute. After, so we got the secure apps. So for the secure apps, I did not make any video of that. I mean, I think most of you know how to do that. So you will need to go on this link to download the NDX, the latest version of the NDX file. After, you just need to import and configure the NDX within the console under configure apps. And if you don't know, you have one NDX version for each operating system. And they are different. I mean, right now it's Android and iOS. And that's it. So after doing that, we get the last things to do for the POC. It's the share file. So for share file, you need to take care about some stuff. So during the Netscaler configuration for share file, you will be asked if you want the Netscaler to. Okay, so I missed something. Sorry for that. I just read again. If you want the Netscaler to connect to the storage and controller with 80 por 80 HTTP or encrypted, so SSL. If you want to use HTTPS, you will need to install and bind a server certificate on your storage zone controller server. So you will need an internal PKI. An internal PKI, I think as well you can do it with a self-signed certificate, even if you don't have an internal PKI. However, if you got any issue with that, just keep in mind that you can do it in port 80 and it's working pretty well. Some customer should not like it because it's not encrypted communication between the Netscaler, which usually reside in the DMZ, and the storage controller, which most of the time reside in the LAN. And so the next step is to install the software. It took me 35 seconds, really quick and easy, and you will need to reboot at the end. And after that, the next step is to configure a share file on the Netscaler. So the share file configuration on the Netscaler, you got some wizard to do that, so it's not complicated.
And I have a question, Arnaud, about regarding the device enrollment again. So,
yeah.
Who will take care if there is any device enrollment issue with certain user? Is it Citrix team or the customer who should do that?
No, I mean, it's just depends. If you got any issue with the enrollment, you can request some support from the cloud portal. However, you need to just to keep in mind that even if it's in the cloud, if you want, for example, to provide specific application, internal developed application, you will need to wrap yourself this application. You will need to upload. You will need to take care of the APNS certificate. So it's not because it's in the cloud that you or your customer will not have anything to do. So for the enrollment part, if you got some issue on that, first of all, you need to take care with your customer. And if you got an issue that you cannot resolve, you can request some support from Citrix. The support is included with the XenMobile service.
So basically, the end user will contact his support, and if they cannot solve the issue, they will raise a ticket to the Citrix team.
Correct. The fact is that there is also an interesting tool that can be used. It's a XenMobile Analyzer. It's an online tool on Citrix website. So you can test the enrollment as well as the access to share file, to the intranet website if you got intranet website, and the mail. So you can make some tests for iOS as well as Android devices. And it's about, I think it was done about 1 year ago. Citrix provide the ability to schedule those tests. So I got those tests, which are running for some customers, and every morning I just receive a report stating if it's working or not. So just at the end, when you implement the POC, you can also make some tests on XenMobile Analyzer and schedule the test and just put your email as a receiver, and you will see every morning, or you can define the timestamp, so you will be aware if there is any issue with that during the test. So for the share file, so the configuration of share file, so just to let you see some tips about that. So if you are not aware about share file, so you will need a shared folder for the, how would I explain that? It's like a repository, so you will have sckeys.txt. It's an encrypted file with the passphrase you will enter during the configuration, as well as some folders for persistent storage, pending, and as well. So when you install a share file and when you configure a share file, it's always interesting to just open an Explorer pointing to the shared folder, so you can ensure that everything is working. So you will need to connect with your user account. So just to let you know a little bit here, I think it's here. I can, oops. Where am I currently? Sorry, I think I made a mistake about that. Okay, so I will just keep that running. So for share file, the first thing you will need to do here, as you can see, the owner account is my user account. This user account is linked to my cloud account. And the fact is that I cannot use this to configure the XenMobile part, the share file part in XenMobile. So what I usually did is that I'm creating another account in share file, and I assign this account as the owner. So doing that, I have a different account than mine here, but it's not a problem because I use this account to make the communication between the XenMobile and the share file. So here you can see it's just quick and easy. You can create a new employee. So I just create a service account with an email address. This account, as well as the email address, does not need to exist on your infrastructure because it's just a local account on the cloud portal, on the cloud control plane of ShareFile. So I assign all the permission for this user account, as I will use it for the configuration. And after I change the admin settings to reassign the owner account to this account and not mine. So just to let you know why I did that, because the fact is that I use here, so to connect here, I use a user account, so username and password. And when I try to use this user account, it was not working. The credentials were not recognized. So this is why I create this. So as you can see right now, so my account owner is the new one for the ShareFile part. So hereafter, you can go and configure the ShareFile on the XenMobile. So providing the subdomain for ShareFile, the delivery group, and the credentials. So here I will use my service account. As well, for the POC, usually I use the all user delivery group, which apply to every user in the domain. There is no restriction because it's quicker and easier. If you want to have a little bit more granularity on which type of user can access which type of application, you can create other delivery group assigned to different Active Directory group. And usually when it's production, it's recommended to disable the all user delivery group and to create specific group. Why? Because all user is just a member of the domain. So you don't have, if you keep the default authentication method, which is username and password, Active Directory username and password, you cannot restrict which user can or not enroll a device. So if you want to have a little bit of control, just disable the all user and create new delivery group. The name can be the same as the Active Directory. It's more simple. And it will be more secure. So now I can go back on my share file just to ensure that the settings has been set. So you will go in security login and you will see that SML is enabled. SML is enabled with the login URL. So this is done when you click on save. So just a little tip here. If you want, you can enable use your Netscaler to provide employee login based on Active Directory on your Netscaler. The fact is that when you go on when you go in your share file, XenMobile, sorry, share file configuration, I will show you. I need to go back there. Here, each time you are here and you click on save, all the settings in the control pane are overwritten. So if you, for example, you configure everything is working and someday someone or you are going there and click on save, you need to redo everything because for the share file SSO with the Netscaler, you need to modify this URL. And if you click on save, it will be overwritten. So for the share file, the total time I spent on this part for the server certificate, the software installation, the reboot, the configuration, the share file configuration on the Netscaler, the storage and controller configuration on the server itself, and the control plane and XMS validation, less than 30 minutes. So it's always short time period. And you will see at the end that you can do pretty much everything in less than 1 day. When you put all the things, each step, one after the other, you can spend less than 1 day to make a POC. So how to configure the AutoDiscovery? So you need to connect on this URL. So as well, when you click on this URL, you will have the AutoDiscovery, but as well you will have the other tools. So here is the tools for the analyzer, the tool I spoke to you a few minutes ago. So in the same URL, if you click on Analyze and Troubleshoot, you can test enrollment here. So you will need to click on the Request AutoDiscovery. You will need to add your domain. Here you click on Next, quick and easy. So here you will be provided with a token. So you will need to create a DNS TXT record on your public DNS with this. And when it's done, you click on Done, Start Check. So it will take some time and you will see it after completed. So I will just answer right now if someone has the question, I don't know, but I got the question in the past. When it has been successfully tested, to be honest, I don't know if you can remove the DNS TXT entry or not. So we will, I mean, I never tested that. I asked the question to Citrix, but I never get any answer about that. Because you can, if I'm correct, on your public DNS, you can only have one TXT entry. So if you use it for this purpose, you cannot use for other things.
Yeah, if I can
yeah, sure.
say something, normally it's just to validate your identity. So once it's validated, you should be okay to remove it. And I have a question about the NetScaler configuration. Is it possible to configure SSL bridge on XenMobile service?
Can you configure SSL bridge? That's a good question. I think you can. I will take note of that.
Yeah. That's a good question. +1 Dinesh.
Okay, I take note of that, and I mean every question for which I didn't have any answer right now, I will find the answer and I will put it on my blog. So probably in a few days you can just check on my blog and you will see the answer. I will have the answer.
Can we also put it in the forum thread on CUGC?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because what I can do is get you the questions that you don't have the answers for, and I'll put a link in the chat window to the forum thread, and then we can update that too.
Sure. I just, for now, I got 2 questions, but if I got other question, I will take note of every question and I will find the answer. I should find the answer. I will do my best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when you click after on this, so you will need to configure all the settings. So just to let you know, by default, so it's a MDM and MAM configuration. If you want to use MDM only, you just need to modify the server properties from ENT, which is enterprise, to MDM. And if you want to change it to MAM, you change under ENT to MAM. As well, if you want to use AutoDiscovery for MAM only, here what you will do is you provide the NetScaler gateway URL for the XenMobile server FKDN. So you can use the NetScaler for both, and it will enroll the device as MAM. And just click on save here, and it's done for the AutoDiscovery part. So after the test, so you will need to test many things to ensure that the POC is working, and your customer can make his own test. So you will need to access the admin portal, enroll device, and access secure apps. So it's about 2 hours. Just to show you something there, it should be this one. So here is a template on all the tests you should need to work on. So I made this template, so I got access to for the admin portal, enroll and test for the MDX, apps for the MDM, and for each apps, what I want the user to test on each operating system. And it can be useful to use that form, that type of template, because it will ensure you that everything is working as expected on your POC. After, for the case success, so you need to keep in mind that the proof of concept is usually free and it should not take too long. So you need to always follow the proposed scope of work and not do something which is not included in the scope. It's valid for a proof of concept as well as for every project, this recommendation. You need to keep track of the issues that you can have with each customer. It will help you for future project, proof of concept or implementation, production project. And you need to train yourself before implementing. So you can request some trials to Citrix. As I told you, it's 90 days. So you can make a lot of tests with that, just to be sure that you know how things are working and how to do it when you will be on site, if you are on site. Because if you really don't really know, I mean, how to do things when you are on the customer side, the customer can think that you don't really know the product, and it's not a good thing. So, as I told you, it should not take more than 1 day for everything. Probably 2 days if you need documentation, if the customer asks for documentation. But it can be really quick and easy. I would like as well to show you other documentation I worked with. So here it's another template, so it's based for the infrastructure. I don't know if you can see my screen. Why I need to zoom. I can zoom a little bit on it. So here you got every section, so every settings and the configuration you will implement. So you can work on this type of document with the customer in advance. So you will have everything you need for the POC. So you got the infrastructure part, you got the network and firewall settings. As well, you will define the public FQDN. So the two, as I told you, you need two, the public IP, destination IP. So it's the VIP on the Netscaler. And after you got all the port, TCP port you need to open and what is the purpose of each port. And here for the Active Directory, so it's an example of the service account role app for the user, Active Directory group for users, admins, as well as test users. Also, I got other documentation. It's here on the, so I create documentation on Cloud Connector. So how to set up the Cloud Connector with all the requirements. So it's based on Citrix websites. It's just some extraction. So each step is documented here. So it's the same as what I show you on the video. And here you got as well a section on troubleshooting. If you got any issue with the Cloud Connector. And here it's the Netscaler script. So you will need to run the script on your Netscaler to configure properly with the cloud. So everything is documented. So you need to download the script. You will need to modify some settings in the script, and you will run this script on the Netscaler in a command line interface with this specific command. All those things can be found on Citrix website, but I got some documentation and it can be helpful even if I don't have internet access when I am on site or whatever. So after, I don't know if there is any other question I can answer about what I show you.
All clear for me. No more questions. Maybe we can add that we will have a session. We just received the email, the confirmation email from Citrix. So we will have a presentation about XenMobile during
At the
synergy.
Yeah.
So if you are able to attend the synergy, you will be more than welcome as we will be in Tuesday, May 8th, and between 5 and 5:30 p.m. at the theater. So we will present something about a toolbox to help you manage the mobile infrastructure.
And we can drink some beers as well.
Yeah, also.
So I see a question from Dinesh. Can we have any restriction file sharing on the Molesh device surfaces? Can you provide some more information about the question? I don't really understand. Can we have any restriction file sharing? The size of the files that can be uploaded. Yeah, no. In fact, I think there is no limitation about that. It's even if, for example, so let me show you something.
Yeah, because the limitation is on the share file part.
Yeah, but here, for example, so I got a drive mapper. As you can see, I got 100 gigabyte on my drive mapper. However, the 100 gigabyte I got there, it's not the size of my real share file. And I can, in the past, I have uploaded a few gigabyte files without any issue. And I think if it's if it's based on the folder which is on premise, you can probably use Windows quota to take care about that. But I can take note of the question if you want as well, and I will find the answer. Let me take.
I work for a project like this, and the main limitation comes from your level of subscription on ShareFile. So depending on the if you are enterprise or premium, I think maybe the correct name.
Yeah.
There is a limitation, but it's like 100 gigs for one file.
Yeah, and I think, however, it's depending if you want the answer, if you want file restriction for on-premise or for cloud. Because on-premise, I mean, if you got a 1 terabyte free space disk on your ShareFile storage zone controller, okay, it's for cloud. Okay, so cloud shared folder. So yeah, I think it should be 100 gigabyte. However, to be honest, I never tried to upload a 100 gigabyte file on ShareFile, but I can make the test after, and I will let you know if you want. But I will ask the question and I will try to find the answer. So I got just another thing here. It's just a bonus. So it's some links about things I spoke about. So here you got the links as well. Here, so it's my own share file, and you can connect on this share file with this username and this password, and you will have access to, let me show you. I will do it in live. At the beginning, I decided to put those things on my ShareFile test account, but it will expire in 19 days. So as I want you to be able to retrieve those information, I put it on my own one. So you will connect there. So you will see this presentation in PDF format, as well as all the video. So initial setup, the MDM configuration, the client properties, and every ShareFile configuration steps, as well as the 2 Word documentation I presented, and the template for Excel for the test and the technical prerequisites. So it's replying to your question, I think, Dinesh. So you can retrieve those documentation. You can download there. You just need to connect here with this user account and this password, and you are free to download and use this. So we just, to reply to your question, Dinesh, if you can help, we got Prabir made a test to upload a 2.3 gigabyte ISO, and it works. I mean, I uploaded, I think it's a 7 gigabyte files, and it was working, but I don't know if 100 is the limit. I will create a 101 megabyte file, gigabyte, sorry, and I will test it and I will let you know. And that's it. If you don't have any other question, I hope you enjoy and you find things interesting during this presentation.
Thank you, Arnaud. Thank you, Samuel. Thanks to those of you who attended today. Really quickly, before I let you all go, I have some links in the chat window for you. One about our survey. It's short and anonymous, but we'd love to get your feedback. And I also have a link out there for CUGC at Synergy. So if you are going to Synergy, we'd love to have you stop by our booth, have a chat. Love to catch up. So check out our Synergy page for everything that you need to know about CUGC at Synergy. And with that, I will collect all of the extra questions. I'll get those to Arnaud and we'll get answers for you, and we'll put those in the forum thread that I gave you a link for also. So,
sure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation today, and thank you, Samuel, for taking time to be with us and keeping an eye on the questions.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.